Topic of discussion is financial management. First, introduction. It plays a significant role in the organization and administration of a library. A library has to purchase books and periodicals, get modern furniture and equipment, erect and maintain the building, and employ trained and experienced staff. Library managers must be able to acquire, manage and maximize all the resources at their disposal. These will include human, technical, financial and information resources. Resource management and financial planning are interlinked, as the necessary finances must be obtained and effectively deployed to ensure the right resources are available to meet the organizational objectives. Finance is the motive power. It is essential for running the government machinery. Library authorities and librarians clearly understand the nature and needs of a library so that enough finances are provided to ensure proper library services to one and all. Then, definition. Financial management is that area of management which is concerned with planning, administration and control of resources in the accomplishment of organizational objectives. Broadly speaking, finance is concerned with obtaining funds and making the optimum use of these funds. There is a lot of difference between the funds of a firm and those of educational institutions, especially the libraries. Basic difference lies in the fact that firms raise their funds by sale of products, which is not true in the case of libraries. Instead, libraries are normally maintained by public funds and granted to university libraries by the government. Sources of library funds. The problem of funds for a college and a university library is a crucial one. The amount of funds available towards library resources and personnel would determine to a large extent the quality of library resources and services provided by it. University libraries receive their funds in varying degrees from the following sources: grants allocated from the university budget, grants from the UGC, endowment and gifts, fees and fines and miscellaneous sources. Grants from university budgets. The university libraries get financial support from the universities out of their own funds. Funds from the university budget constitute an important source of income for the libraries. Allocations are usually made directly to the library by the university. The university gets grants from the state government and special grants from the UGC, which are passed on to the library for various purposes such as establishment, salaries and wages, building, furniture, equipment, purchase of books, etc. The state government grants for libraries are included in the allocation from the university budget. Second, grants from the University Grants Commission. The University Grants Commission, since its inception, that is 1956, has been giving substantial grants to the university libraries. The UGC has classified universities for the funding purpose as below: central universities, institutes deemed to be universities, state universities. The UGC has no funds for its own. It receives grants, both plan and non-plan, from the central government through the Ministry of Human Resources and Development. The UGC Act empowers the Commission to allocate and disperse full maintenance and development grants to all central universities, state universities and some of the institutions who have been accorded the status of deemed universities. College and other institutions of higher education receive support from the plan grants for development scheme. The UGC grants are mainly of three types: recurring, non-recurring and ad hoc grants. Recurring grants are given for the purpose of purchase of books and periodicals, maintenance of regular services by employing permanent and regular staff. Non-recurring grants, specific purposes, for example, construction of library building, purchase of furniture and equipment, automation, and sometimes for the special collections in the university libraries. UGC has helped almost all the Indian universities to erect their buildings by providing 2/3 of the total approved cost of the library building. Ad hoc grants. Sometimes on the recommendations of the visiting committee of the UGC provides ad hoc grants for special purchases. They are extended as and when they are felt necessary. Third, endowment and gifts. Endowment funds are another source of income to the libraries. They may be general or specially designated for a specific purpose. However, endowments are rare in India, though some Indian universities have been benefited by endowment grants received from the Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, and PL 480 funds. Such financial support was temporary in nature and only limited support was given to few Indian universities. Gifts and grants may come from a variety of sources, for example, private individuals, religious institutions, trusts, international agencies like the UNESCO, etc. Usually such gifts and grants are made through the university or the government. Sometimes people present the libraries with books and old volumes of bound periodicals, but generally these gifts are not new. Fees. Almost all university libraries charge fees from their students for the use of the library. Research scholars are also charged with library servicing charges. For example, Punjabi University charges Rs 30 per annum as library fee from students. It is doubtful whether the amount so collected is allocated for library purposes. If such income is diverted to library funds, it might be of some help. Moreover, the income from the fee can only pay for a very small part of the total operating costs of the library. Then fines and miscellaneous sources. Fines are generally charged on the late or overdue return of books or against losses or misuse of books. They cannot be considered as a source of income because they are not meant for the purpose, and their primary aim is to compel the user to return the books borrowed from the library in time and not to damage it or lose it in transit or at its home. Other source of income in the library is from Xerox services, sale of used papers, newspapers, catalogs, etc. Income from these sources form a negligible portion of the total income of the library. Next is method of financial estimation. For smooth running of an institution in a developed economic system, it is essential that there should be a permanent source of income, and amount of finance should be determined on the basis of proportional principle. Recommendations of various commissions and committees for following three methods are employed for determining the quantum of grants. First, per capita method, percentage method, method of details. Per capita method. Under this method, Radhakrishnan Commission 1948-9 suggested Rs 40 per student. No mention is made of the teachers and research fellows. The UGC Committee 1965 suggested Rs 15 per student and Rs 200 per teacher and research fellow. The Kothari Commission 1964-66 recommended Rs 25 per student and Rs 300 per teacher, whereas the Working Group of Planning Commission 1984 recommended Rs 75 per student and Rs 500 per teacher. The per capita method of allocation of funds is not suitable for the university libraries. Ever increasing cost of books and periodicals has no relationship with the number of users, students, teachers. This is caused by the general rate of inflation and change in the rate of exchange of the Indian rupee. The method should be such that takes care of the number of users and general increase in the expenditure because of inflation. Next is percentage method. Under this method, a fixed percentage of the total budget of university is allocated to the library. The commissions and committees have made the following recommendations. A comparative statement of the recommendations made by the commissions and committees since independence is shown in Table 1. The statement reveals that there are wide variations in the norms recommended by them. First is Radha Krishnan Commission 1948 suggested 6.25% of the total budget of the library. Second, the UGC committee in 1965 did not recommend the adoption of this method. Third, the Kothari Commission 1964-66 recommended 6.5% to 10% of the total budget of the university. The working group of the Planning Commission 1984, that is Sheshgiri, recommended 10% to 15% of the university budget depending upon the state of the development of the university library. The Karnataka State University Review Committee 1980, chaired by K.N. Raj, recommended 20% of the university budget. Planning Commission Working Group of Libraries and Informatics for 9th 5-year plan 1997-2000 recommended 10% of the university budget. Taking into account all the recommendations of the commissions and committees under both the methods, we would suggest that 10% to 15% of the university budget should be allocated for its library. Further, Dr. Ranganathan has suggested proportion of expenditure of a university library on major items such as staff, books and other reading materials and miscellaneous items is 50:40:10 or 40:50:10 depending on the stage of the development of the library. But investigations by various scholars indicated that more than 70% of the university library budget is consumed in the salaries of the staff. Last is method of details. In this method, all items of expenditure are accounted for while preparing financial estimates for a library. These include salaries, wages, reading material, books, periodicals and newspapers and other kindred materials, binding and repairing, cooling and lighting, library supplies, automation, contingencies, etc. Next is budgeting. Budget is a financial statement of the estimates, revenues and expenditure for a default period of time. It is a comprehensive document containing detailed estimates of plans for the financial transactions which are needed by an organization to carry out its programs effectively. Budgeting basics. First is, it is prepared to cover a definite period. It is approved in advance of the period to which it refers. Third is, the data used in its preparation are documented for future reference. It defines processes that are to be adopted in order to ensure that the organization's goals are met. Types of budget. There are 7 different budget preparation methods which have been recognized and all have received considerable coverage in the literature. The methods presented below increasing level of complexity. First is line item budgeting, second lump sum budgeting, third formula budgeting, fourth program budgeting, fifth performance budgeting, sixth planning programming budgeting system, seventh is zero-based budgeting. Let us take up line item budgeting. The most common type of budgeting is the line item budgeting that divides item of expenditure line by line into broad categories such as books and journals, salaries and allowances, equipment, supplies, capital expenditure, contingencies, etc., with further subdivisions of each of these in broad categories. Although line item budget provides basic financial management, but they provide no information about how expenditure relates to the objectives and programs of the organization, and also does not suggest any future projection. This budget is also inflexible in the sense that funds earmarked for a particular item cannot be spent for any other purpose. That is, financial rules would not permit shifting of expenditure from one head to another head. The advantage of this type of budgeting is that it is relatively easy to prepare, present and understand. Second is lump sum budgeting. A given lump sum of money is allocated to the library as its budget for the next year. It is library's responsibility simply to spend it wisely. Although the actual categories of expenditure may very well be the same as those of line item budget, the lump sum budget is more flexible in what there is no limit on expenditure of any one category. Third is formula budgeting. Resources in formula budgeting are allocated according to some predetermined standards, such as number of students attending particular courses, number of faculty members, graduate and undergraduate course of study. The formula budgeting is often used by large libraries system for the allocation of library's book fund to the department to receive its fair share of resources. This type of budgeting covers areas of collection, organization of material, staff, delivery of service, facilities, administration and budget. Formula budget has gained popularity because they are easy to prepare, require little justification, provide some sense of equality and require few planning and budgeting skills to prepare. Fourth is program budgeting. Program budgets are the stage beyond the simple line item. With a program budget, the services and activities are emphasized rather than the direct costs themselves. Items of expenditure are allocated to the specific activities for which they are used. The final product will be seen as an extension of the line item budget. Program budgeting is an addition to the budget process, supplementing the line item budget rather than replacing it. A typical library program budget will be divided into several major programs, and under each program the budget will be further subdivided into categories such as library service, the development and maintenance of the basic collection of publication which provide the backbone of any information unit, information services, the provision of all forms of information services ranging from current awareness survey to online information retrieval services, then data management services, the provision of administration and storage services for corporate hard copy data services, etc. Program budgeting will be seen to have significant advantages over the simple line item version in that it provides linkages between the inputs to the information unit and the outputs from it. Proper implementation of a program budget will permit the preparation of better and more convincing budgets. Then performance budgeting. The performance budget depends on the calculation of costs for each individual activity undertaken by the library. Once these costs have been calculated, then the budget is simply established by multiplying the unit cost by the proposed level activity. The major drawbacks of this budgeting is costing is complicated activity. Management techniques such as cost-benefit analysis are used to measure the performance and establish norms. For example, data on the number of books acquired, classified and catalogued, actual man hours for doing the entire processing work, etc. are calculated to determine manpower and materials to perform the task. This method measures only quantity and not quality. The difficulty of explaining the complications of library operational management to library